Hi, James C. with Phoenix Home Inspections here today. I was wanting to show you some tricks on learning how to find and detect leaks, and also how to fix one of the most common leaks that I come across. Now, when you Google it, you'll see, and I kind of laughed at this, they say that dishwashers and hot water heaters are the #1 source. Well, when you think about it, if those do leak, you're going to find it's going to be flooding your whole room that it's actually in. So those are easy to find. The ones that people overlook are your sinks and your toilets that I'm sitting on right now. And this is one that is leaking, but I'm going to show you that just even looking at the signs, you're going to think, oh, that there's nothing wrong with it. But I'll show you the big sign that we'll find downstairs. But first of all, if you ever have a home inspection, one of the things they always come is they turn on all the faucets. The reason why you do that is because you want to get all the water running. We're checking for water flow and drainage, but also by running a lot of water, your drains aren't going to leak if there's not water flowing through your pipes. Now, they do have what's called a P-trap that holds the water in, that keeps the sewer gas coming out. And it's the same way with the toilets that have the little hook here. If this thing's not attached, it doesn't have water in it, you're actually going to get sewer gas out. And then when we take this off, you'll smell what I'm talking about. But anyway, let me show you one thing on this sink. Well, actually, let me start with the toilet. So with the toilet, what we'll do is we'll, kind of rub it back and forth, make sure it's sturdy. Now this is my toilet, so I don't care touching it, plus I just cleaned it. But you want to make sure it's sturdy. With tile, it's kind of nice. I look at the grout line and see if it's a different color from the rest of the grout, because that way you're going to tell if it's a different color, it's wet. Now on your sinks, let me move the camera over. One of the biggest problems with the sinks, as you can see, is we like to put a bunch of stuff in the sinks. All these bottles and stuff hits these traps, the P-trap. You can hit the valves. That's where you're gonna get water at. So if you look down here, you can probably see in the back corner, move my hand out of the way, it's dark here. That's a previous old stain where the pipes had been leaking before. Now, if you don't know if it's new or old, there's one of the tricks that you can actually do, and that is to get paper towel. Take a piece of paper towel, fold it up. If you fold it up, stick it underneath there, come back in a few days, see if you got any stains. Us home inspectors, we have what are called moisture meters. We can take a solid reading, a baseline. I know this is dry, so it's 11%. And go back here. We were not 7%. That's an old stain, so that tells me my sink's not leaking. It had, but it's no longer leaking, so I can rule that out. But let me take you to the basement and show you what's going on. So now I've came down to my basement. Of course, I got it aimed at the ceiling, but you can see the big water stain. This is what I love about drop ceilings. It's funny, when I was building this house, I did not want drop ceilings in my basement. But after I was building, run my HVAC lines, all of my plumbing and electrical, because I'm always doing something, I always want to have access. With drop ceilings, you can pop them out and have access to the flooring above, unless it's solid drywall. But as you can see, I am so thankful that I have drop ceilings, because once I fix the leak upstairs, these ceiling tiles, I don't know, I'm going to say they're probably 10 bucks. I actually keep a box of them for if I ever get leaks. But as you can see, if you have this is always a good tall tale sign that I got a leak. So I'll get up here. These things just have like these little hooks that you squeeze, and you can actually drop it down the cover plate. And of course, this thing is really tight. And you can tell that sucker is leaking. So, I don't know if you can see this pipe right here above me, but there's two of them. Those are actually my toilets. And I can see, oh yeah, it's wet. I can see red marks from the dye, from the wood stuff where it's been leaking. Now, I replaced the other one, and it's dry. Well, that's deceiving. So what I'm trying to do is look up here, see if I can see any moisture, anything that has any signs of it being wet. Now I'll come back down here with my moisture meter, but you can do it with your hands to touch stuff, see if it's wet. But what makes this a little confusing is I have two toilets back to back. And the one that's closer this way, see on this side, going this way is the exterior wall. So going that way, I'm going towards the front of the house. The one in the front looks dry, which would be the bathroom that I was in, and then the other bathroom. But I'm going to double check, because I believe the one off to the right is the one that's actually leaking. So let me get back here with my moisture meter, and I'm going to check, see where my leaks are, and then let me go upstairs and I'll show you what's going on. So let me show you some tricks on how to actually take apart this toilet. First thing you gotta do is come back to this valve, turn it off, because this is what's feeding the water. Now, water weighs about 8 pounds per gallon. It's like 8.68. So it's heavy. We want to make this toilet as light as possible. So this thing here has all the water holding it. So I'm gonna flush it. I'm gonna hold it down so that way the water keeps going through it. Now water's gonna go in the bowl. It's gonna go through this little trap here. But you're still going to have a little bit of water in the bowl. There's a trick to that. Finally hear the water stop running. Is get you a toilet bowl plunger. First time a guy saw me do this, he's like, I've changed these so many times I've never seen this trick. But if you take your toilet bowl plunger, I can actually go over here to the water, and it's pretty well, you can kind of see the level right through here. But once I go through here, I can actually push the water, and like I said, I am making this even lighter. Pull it out. So the only water that's actually left is just a very little. It's going to be from about here over to that bowl. So once you do this, you're going to unhook your line here from the toilet. Now you can get a little bit of water coming out of this line, so I always like to have a cup. If you unhook it from here, you're still going to have water here, so you might loosen that up. I like the braided hoses better, but this is a hard line. So I'm going to grab my pliers. Actually, meant to grab me a cup. I'm going to pause my video here a minute once I get this loosened. But I'm just going to take this, loosen that up. I'm going to grab me a little bowl, stick it underneath there. Now, you heard me say a bowl. You're like, no, that's toilet water. Actually, this is fresh water, so it's okay to use your regular dishes. So let me be right back. Okay, so once you get that off, and then you have two caps. Sometimes these are just pop on, but these are actually the screw on type. So I'm going to unscrew them. Takes it right off. This is a 1/2 inch nut to, or 13 millimeter if you don't have 1/2 inch. You just take these, unscrew them off. Now, anytime you do this, always get you a new bolt set, because these are one-time use, because these are break-offs. But you take this out, and I'm going to loosen the other side. And since I've loosened this up here, I got a little bit of a drip of water. And the biggest thing is, once you put this toilet back together, always make sure that this line is good. So, now all you gotta do is grab the toilet and remove it. Up this That'd be it. Now, set my dad out. What it do is, if you get newspapers, use the newspapers to pull that up. Who gets the news anymore? So I just use these bags here. So I just kind of go around. That way my fingers aren't getting in this wax seal. And you can tell there's a lot of wax here. That's because I use the extra large, extra thick wax. But you gotta get that sucker all cleared out. So you're gonna need about 4 or 5 of these. And there's a little rubber valve here. So it should all be white by the time you're done. A screwdriver, a scraper would help, but newspapers work much better than plastic bags. Here you're gonna smell that sear gas. Now these things here will twist out. Got a lot of wax that's holding it in there. Take that out. You should be able to just twist it. There we go. Now this is pretty cool setup because it's actually kind of adjustable. So my flange, if you look at it, it's actually kind of up off the floor. My other one's actually below it. So with it being up off the floor, I didn't really need the extra thick wax ring. But when you pull this apart, it'll actually have the instructions where you leave, it's actually 3 pieces of foam. You leave the 3 pieces on if it's below the floor. Leave 2 if it's flush, or you just leave the 1 if it's above, because you don't need that extra coverage. So I'm going to take 2 of these rings off, and then grab your bolts, wherever I put them. You're going to slide those in and put this, with this side down in there, and it holds it in place. So let me. So I'm going to take this nut, and it slides right in the groove, and you just kind of twist it, and I kind of line them up across the center of it where your toilet's going to sit. I'm going to do the same on this side, and then this thing, this is what I like about it, it just lines right up, so you know you haven't moved your flange at all. And I'm going to set the toilet right on top of it, line it up with those 2 bolts, and then put my nuts and washers on it. Okay, so I went ahead and hooked everything back up. I put the 2 bolts on, hooked up the water line, turned the water back on. One of the things I did is I went ahead and put a paper towel there because I'm going to be leaving for vacation for just a couple days. So it's just kind of a way if it leaks, it catches the water, but it'll let me know that it's leaking, so that way I know I need to replace that hose or that lining, especially since I kind of bent it when I undid it. I'm going to replace it with a braided hose. I like the braided hoses better because I think they hold up better. I know there's plumbers out there that'll argue with me, but something to take into consideration. A lot of times you don't see these leaks. If I didn't have a basement, I wouldn't have ever saw that leak. So a lot of houses are on crawl spaces. I've done a lot of work under crawl spaces. I'd say a good chunk of them have leaks with their plumbing, so they got plumbing issues. But doing that will save you a lot of time, money. It took me maybe 4 minutes to hook everything back up. I just got carried away and forgot to videotape it. But make sure you put the little plastic washer, and then there's a metal washer goes on it. When you tighten it, you don't want to over tighten it because you don't want it to cause it to crack, because you can break these. These are ceramic, so you over tighten it, it'll do that. But get it tight where it's snug, where you can't rock it back and forth. It's good and snug. Of course, check this. Make sure that this line here is not dripping water. This is where I always tend to catch leaks after you've took it apart. Like I said, I'm going to replace this with a braided line. I seem to do better with it. And then, like I said, I just did that paper towel. This is just a little trick with the paper towel that you can actually put underneath your sinks to see if, because not everybody has moisture meters. You can get them for like 30 to 50 bucks, 75. But you can take a piece of paper towel, stick it underneath it, and see if it drips. But anyway, if you have any questions, give me a shot, send me an email. If you need a home inspection, or if you're like, hey, I wonder if my pipes are leaking underneath my house because I got crawl space, give me a holler. I'll do what's called a limited scope inspection, where I just inspect the crawl space. I can get underneath there, or have your plumber if you don't want to get down underneath there. But anyway, James Teagues with Phoenix Home Inspections. You can book your online home inspection at phoenixinspectionsllc.com. Oh, on a final note, I just want to say the Korky gasket that I use, I've never used these before, so I'm not trying to market them until I use them, because they may actually be junk. But I'll try to do a follow-up video and let you know how well they work. If it doesn't work, if I'm still leaking, I'm going to give this sucker a shot. So this is going to be my next option. But I want to show you how to change it, but you can always do it the old-fashioned way and put in that wax seal. So anyway, thanks for watching, and look out for the next video.